All right. Good morning, Juma Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. To our Muslim brothers and sisters. Good morning, Alima.
Good morning, John.
You are smiling. You are admiring the depth of my Islamic knowledge. Oh yeah, that's it. I know you are admiring. You know, I'm Tusim, by the way. You know, I'm everywhere.
So how?
A little bit of this and that.
So how do you fast?
Alhamdulillah. You know, alhamdulillah.
Are you fasting the Christian way or the Muslim
way?
way?
Most definitely. Oh, Christian way.
So you're saying Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, tell God thank you. Meaning, tell God thank you. No, you know, so here's the thing. There's the distinction between Islam and Christianity is the language, mostly. Doctrinal differences, of course, exist, but mostly it's about the language. So they worship through Arabic, right? Which is the fundamental language. For the Bible, for Christians, it's Hebrew, right? Greek and Hebrew, and then later translated to English. You know, we have the New King James Version, all the versions now that are existing. But before now, they were writing in longhand. So a bit of historical lesson this morning. So during the days when the prophets were here, you know, much of the hadiths, you know, the Islamic doctrines, both in the Quran and the Bible, were written in, you know, they call it scribes, these slates, you know, and they were later transferred through longhand. So there was this long stick, you dip it in the ink and you write.
They still use it. How do they call these people that teach it?
The Karmokos?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Karmokos use it still. Yes, they do. You know, the Muslim scholars.
And they have the slates.
The slates are there. Yes, they still use it. So it's traditional, right? Yeah, it's a religious tradition. Well, things have changed. You know, so the Gutenberg Revolution actually paved the way for modernity, you know, in writing. That's it. Now, the Gutenberg Revolution basically affects everywhere else in the world, not only the media. Most times when you talk about the Gutenberg Revolution, people feel it's only the media. No. It's about documenting doctrinal, you know, things, you know, from both Muslims and Christians. The prophets, how the Bible was written in the first place, how it was transcribed into English. It was during the transcription stages that even most of the scriptures in the Bible were diluted, you know. So now that's why, for example, even in Christianity now, there are variations in doctrine, variations in understanding, in explanation of the scriptures. For example, you know, someone would tell you about the Adam's apple, saying, oh no, so God was actually referring to the temperament of a man. Another scholar will tell you, oh no, the Adam's apple basically was referring to the apple in the middle of the Garden of Eden. There are various and diverse interpretations. You know why? Because during transcription, originality fades away. Meaning,
Jones, I think you should just take up a job as a scholar.
Oh yeah, I like to teach.
Yeah, I think you should.
So during transcriptions, what happens is like languages get diluted and context get missing during transcriptions and translations. Yeah. So from Hebrew, the Bible was translated into English. During those eras, most of these people are no longer existing. The man who transcribed this thing, not even they are alive again. So most times you ask Kenneth Oshaw, one of the most renowned English scholars in the country, who lectured me for years, would tell you that nothing or they like exact transcription from one language to another. If you try for do that one day, you always miss the context. The context is what's most important about transcriptions. Let me give you an example. A while ago, some years ago, Kenneth Oshaw gave an assignment at college for students to translate, quote and unquote, Modelo Tidena Shekedide. Now that was a problem, actually.
So how did you translate yours?
You cannot. In the exact sense of the word, if you really want to use the same semantics, the same words, you cannot. It's not possible.
It would not make sense.
Just, for example, those wiki, them one day we can say, hey, we there and we this. What's that? You can never be able to, I challenge anyone, right? For say, we there and we this, for talking exactly I did so, for turn into English. That's why context matters. So as I said, you know, most times language gets diluted during transcription stages, both for the Quran, the Bible, but we're all one, right? The only difference you can observe, it's about Jesus Christ we Christians believe in so much, right? Being the Son of God. And Muslims don't believe so.
Muhammad.
Jesus, for them, was just another, form of prophet for them, right? We come bearing the word of God. Yeah, not actually the Son of God, the Son of Allah, as you would call it, right? So these are the doctrinal differences. But irrespective of these religious and doctrinal differences, we're all one. That's why you've never seen a jihad fought in Sierra Leone. You've never heard. The last time it was some years ago when, the prophet, Ajay Safir, made a pronouncement. You see how the country been mobilized against them, the man of God. And even recently, with that Sheikh say, for it. Sheikh don't understand. That makes it very clear. But I mean, some of them here, na hadiths, where the Quran prescribe. But let me tell you, just like we preach peace. Peace, most times, relative, is based on the kind of country where you go. For example, United Nations, come now, so a country with certain things their way, not to show we they live life now. So everywhere you go preach in a place, you understand, first of all, the doctrines, the heterogeneous differences, right? The background, the ethnicity, before you able to preach anything there, whether a word of God now or tell them about peace and all of that. That's it. So understanding the fundamentals of society is the first way of preaching religion, right?
But I think Sierra Leone is a unique country
extremely
when it
unique,
comes to religious
extremely
tolerance.
Extremely unique.
It's something we pride ourselves
indeed,
in.
Indeed.
And I hope that we continue to tolerate each other.
I do hope so.
Whether you're Muslim or Christian, we do eat our foods and...
Oh yeah, I eat everything.
We cohabit
I eat everything
very well, intermarriages and the like.
Yeah, and by the way, that's a good thing you touched on, intermarriages now.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of Christians marrying Muslims.
And
a lot of Muslims marrying Christians. Oh yeah.
Peacefully so.
One iconic example in field of journalism is brother Umaru Fofana. Umaru married to a typical Christian lady. And they've been living happily since then. They're still together.
Well, His Excellency and his wife.
Oh, yeah, as well, right? Yeah, Yeah, exactly. His Excellency, Julius Madabio, married to a typical Muslim lady. And they are together still, I'm not sure they can make club and among you side the Pekin and for go worship, right? Because around they can bring the differences, right? I know these things still exist. There are people who are extremely religiously fanatical and dogmatic in their beliefs. There are Islamic scholars who are dog-headed in the hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. However, advancement and modernity. Anyways, well, yeah, I'm not preaching. I'm just, I'm prophesying this morning. But anyways, what I would like to touch on, it's weekend. Juma Mubarak to all our Muslims, brothers and sisters out there, all our fellow Sierra Leoneans. We were the fast. Again, we're not the fast safe. May the peace of Christ be with you all. May Allah continue to add more barakah, to whatever you do in this life. Just want to say this: that elections are coming. By the way, it's one thing I wanted to touch on briefly before, handing over the baton to you. We've seen in this country how, toxic politics have transformed people into rivals. Abstract politics in this country. This is an extremely peaceful country, the most peaceful in the world. We are the most tolerant nation on earth, I know, Sierra Leone. I will beat my chest anywhere in this world to say that, and I will not even be challenged by anyone, not even the most learned scholar. Yes, we are. However, most often we're being told that our peace is fragile, meaning there are indicators that can trigger animosity. One of those things is politics. Now, irrespective of the town you're coming from, when it's Easter, both Muslims and Christians celebrate. Timini, Limbas, Madingo, Kurankos, right? Fullers, everyone, Mendes, we all flock together at number 2. We go to Bobo, right? We go to John Obey, and all of these places. We go there, we celebrate together, we eat, we quaff, right? Drink and chill together, enjoy the beautiful scenery of our beaches together. But anytime like you say politics don't come, And that's today yagbadi for them in this country.
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think that's the case because it's a hypnotical idea. What I mean by this, politicians often use, well, and most times it's the masses, by the way, not the elites. I want you to know that. Most times when animosity they brew between parties in this country, particularly so the APC and the SLPP, it is the grassroots people who get to propagate, right, that particular animosity. Now they go strong at it. Now they pull banner, chuk then company banner broken. They were even how they call them PPRC can pull, you know, na PRC they call them political party
PPRC,
regulation. Yes,
yeah.
can pull notice. Say, hey, number enough for knocking company banner. Then they can begin to use motherly invectives in the streets, right? A lot of the time. And these are the guys who are not benefiting really. The man, they are not even sabi most of themselves, right? Now just, you know, let me tell you, politicians are very skillful people. When politics term reach, then they use their money for generate their ideology, propagate them, extend them, scatter them all over. But in the process of doing so, that's where methodology comes in. The approach to politics for be decent.
Jones, do you think that's different in other countries and other jurisdictions?
I believe so.
Why
However, I've watched House of Cards, right, and how dirty white politics can be as well.
Exactly.
It's extremely dangerous. However, understand, as I said earlier, that there are ethnic and heterogeneous differences between these nations and among these nations. We're not a white man, we're not black man now. So the things that we actually they call people, what they call Sierra Leoneans, that they describe them, the particular tongue they all come out, the ideals, the different stuff that we make up to describe them, the doctrines, how can command the married, how then the bell person, how then the punado, the same thing for Creoles, Timneys, Mendes, Fullers, and all of that. We are all one people. If we imbibe the culture of the West, then it always go get for big problem for we.
So what are you saying?
We are not the same. Meaning, it don't mean say because politics dangerous, nefarious, and fearful at that side of Ufokopia. It don't mean say again, because politics term rich, a different party they will make plaba. No. We can still sell ideologies, and that's where westernization comes in. Again, westernization is dangerous, but not every aspect of it is. However, mutual debates, for example, which is why we have something like Sierra Leone Decides, right? Sierra Leone Decides was an idea, right, born out of the rubrics, if you like, of decent democracy, transparency, and nationalism, where presidential candidates debate their policies in front of the whole country. They are questioned on how they are going to deliver. That's how democracies operates elsewhere in the West. We will collect for reference. Now, then they are going to see the next election, you know. Me, I can always say this. Alima, not to bluff. Me, a young man. But I don't lie for you, you know. If na that money, when overnight to be the fan, they can need there. I say this, wallahi, to me, God will deserve. We're not for there so delicate today. If not, that will be the fair, that dirty money, right? Dirty money meaning, you go do bad. You talk about this over and that to that party, they then give you money, you come out today, go knock that out of brother in the mouth. Talk this, you know, you own journalism, what you do, or you own work what you do, now for this party you do. When months done, then by and they give you envelope, you go collect. You can't, you defend, you attack. Before my lecturer, Joshua Nicol can say, defend, collect, attack, collect kind of journalism. If not done, they no more, Alima, we will not go there. But by God in power, inshallah, through the grace of God, we're there today. You know, we've survived regimes in this country. APC, SLPP now, DENSEF, most ATRDs, we're still there, going strong. You know, so many times what we can do is stop self and activity. A lot of people can misunderstand we. You know, they can feel say, oh, they do this because of it's grossly naive for you even think so. And these are the things where they make politicians and they work up a man and fast naya. But we don't understand. Not to all my way go school really even intelligent. But intelligence is not born from being academically certified. How you they think as well, they go a long way for the kind of person where they become in life. A man thinketh, so is he, right? The Bible now says so. How you think as mortal man, now so you they be. You know, if you propel animosity, acrimony, toxicity, then it will follow you back in return. What they do, they work here for all my good. Not for any other person, hey, this man, party, then I make it a blast. So no. Where government do good, we they talk them. If bad come out today, we they talk them, right? Today, APC kind of power back, we they continue for the blast them all, like how the blast so they do bad. Outside them do good, we go talk them. Not all thing bad the way, SLP don't do. They've done some good things in the country, right? A lot of good things. However, the politics, it's an unwritten social contract between you and our government and the people of the country for deliver. For something like the field, for example, what they talk about. So it is no rocket science that if you don't pull come out one thing what they talk yesterday, if now the levy self on road, pull and force. Because people think ganga, right? Now so government they think, not a book they make you won't country fine. No, not a book. Anybody say that day, he's grossly mistaken. Not to education, really. So react for the people leading with the fear of God and blessing and all of them stuff, and then I make you be a good leader, really. Not so about what's then call. So lower the evidence here. I mean, for me, these are the things. But I feel above all we are one people, right? I mean, whether politics or not, my kids, you don't have the same bad end they drink where you see fast move don't just know, right? The same man the way you go see the Allah, you go see honorable KK can't see that the blast. By the end of the day, man the way now, I mean, even Lama talking this morning, you get paddy then a government. You know what I mean? Say we're not enemy. No. You know, most man the man would not work with Strade, would Strade now be boss them, some man teach you all in school. Then are politics that we're not your enemy though. No matter whether one way or the other don't contribute to your bringing a life. You know what I mean? Say because we not join politics for be enemy. No. We're all the same. But you know what I mean? Say outside something black, we no talk with the turn of white. Just because that man and your uncle no. And at the same thing, without any credit to him, where the former chief minister be talking on a book. That one time they were go inside president's office, then say they go talk about. So as all man reach, all man balance. Though we don't plan or they don't arrange fans and go tell the party too. As then go inside this so all man pull on pandit. You don't go na do pass backyard and open the door to go slide outside. People afraid. And that's the extent of deep-seated sycophancy with this in our country. Let God help you. You know? Let God help you. God help you. Don't say I know, don't Alima.
I know, right? Well, I mean, we'll continue to talk about this.
Indeed.
So today is the 13th day in the month of March 2026. Good morning to all our viewers from Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, of course, the Gambia, Senegal, Guinea, our closest neighbor, of course, United Kingdom, United States of America, and of course, our beloved Sierra Leone.
Indeed.
And the rest of the globe. This is how we welcome you into this final edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone for the week here on AYV TV and radio on 101.7 FM and on DSTV channel 399. My name is Alimatu Judge.
Victor Jones is my name, flanked by her this morning. Good morning to all of you and to our viewers on YouTube. Good morning to our viewers on Facebook this morning who are following. Good morning to all of you. This program, of course, as always, brings you the twists and turns of politics in Sierra Leone, sport, entertainment, and what have you. All of this will be discussed this morning in this final edition of the program. It's a 2-hour conversation which has already begun with our ranting this morning. These are, by the way, our opinions. They are not, reflective of the generality or entirety of the Africa Young Voices. They are individualistic, right? And we are always broadcasting from the top of Tar Hill in the heart of this beautiful capital, Freetown. As always, it's a dialogue, meaning it's your voice and our voice here. So go to our Facebook page and drop those comments. You can also do so on our YouTube page. But before we begin this morning, let's take a quick commercial from our sponsors, Wakeup Commercial Bank. That, of course, will be followed by other advertisers. We shall be back.
In the heart of Sierra Leone's dynamic rhythm, Wakeup Commercial Bank is your beat to a brighter financial future. We're not just a bank, but we're your financial partner committed to your success. We've got the financial tools you need to rise higher. Our team is here to serve you with speed and a smile because your time matters to us. So, are you ready to unlock financial prosperity? highlighting key banking services such as Keke loans, Combra account, fixed deposits, SME loans, internet and corporate banking, from savings that grow your dreams to loans that fuel your ambitions. Demonstrating fast and friendly customer service. Showcasing cutting-edge banking technology and ATMs. Access your money anytime, anywhere with our state-of-the-art technology and a network of ATMs. Our Rokel SimCopper app puts banking in your hands, where you can pay for EDSA, AfriMoney, Orange Money, and pay bills including school fees and make transfers to other bank accounts. Remember, you can also experience Rokel e-banking today. Then join us now. Visit any of our branches or explore our website. Rokel Commercial Bank, your bank of choice.
Sorry, car, go see some business partners.
You didn't give me my money, Michael. Can if I kiss I young, give me this car people in not to in dandy. Michael, today you dey pay me my money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now, you not send me money and 10 you not give me back my money. Today, you dey give me my money.
You know, ever sabi goodness na in life. I dey send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I dey ever send money for now.
I don't need your help because I don't know so with Afri money. I dey able to send money. Now Boku Africa countries them.
With Afri money, we'll be able to send money to over 10 African countries, whether it's Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, or Kenya. If me party didn't know this, we not for the party grammar right now.
Okay, una go regret. I mean, now me not una go regret.
The best part right now, Michael, with Afri money, you dey able to send money even if you not use app, even if you not the online. Directly, all you need for do, you just a dial *161#. Pam, your money don't go. So I don't need the help again. Thief man.
Thank you.
Send money to over 10 African countries instantly with AfriMoney. No stress, no excuses. Just dial *161*1*6# now. AfriMoney. Quick and easy.
much indeed for joining us indeed. As always, we are broadcasting in the capital here, Freetown, on West Street. I am Victor Jones this morning with Alimatu Judge.
Coming up in the program today, we shall be discussing the outcome of the All People's Congress, APC party, two-day meetings with members of parliament, councillors, mayors and chairmen on their decision not to participate in governance and the tripartite recommendations, among other things.
And also this morning, shall be discussing build-ups ahead of the Hit the Street and Cypher Uncensored West Coast Battle Grand Finale 2026 on Pray Day, on Eid at the Sport Zone Complex, Aberdeen in Freetown. As I said earlier, do not forget to join in on the conversation this morning. You know, drop your comments on our Facebook page. It's AYV News. You can also go to YouTube. We're also there this morning. Now, in our very first segment, we've been joined by Abdul Karim Kambara Esquire. He is a member of the All People's Congress's party publicity team, who is here to talk about, you know, the outcome of their two-day meeting with members of parliament and councillors, mayors, chairmen, and executive members, you know, on their decision not to participate in governance. We'll also be discussing tripartite recommendations and the qualms they have with it, among many other things this morning. Good morning, Lawyer Ekeke. It's a pleasure always to have you on the program.
To our esteemed viewers and listeners, good morning to my two wonderful presenters, Vicky and Alima. It's a pleasure being here as always.
Indeed. For viewers who may not understand fully why you're here this morning or what's contained in that press release, just give us a background.
We, as a party, have challenged ourselves that we will not continue to keep party operations far away from our esteemed membership. And thus, we've made it very, very emphatic that wherever that is discussed at the party highest level must be cascaded to the lowest. And so I am here to fulfilling that call, to making sure that all those who were not able yesterday to attend, because the meeting was specifically classed, i.e. the first day was for MPs, sitting MPs, and those whose names were on the list as second candidates and others, and that was done for the first day. And the second day was equally for sitting mayors, chairpersons, and councillors, and others who are on their waiting list. So selectively, it was a class meeting. So having got a very successful deliberations for 2 consecutive days, it now behoves us as a party to communicate into our wider audience what exactly were the outcome of those all-important engagements. So fundamentally and principally, I'm here this morning to echoing exactly to our wider audience that indeed the 2 days meeting was a success and we have resolved on a particular position.
I've read your press release. You said you'll be withdrawing from governance. What does that mean?
Well, we're withdrawing from government because in democracy, I do believe that indeed majority carries the day, carries the ballot. But however, democracy has some fundamental tenets, and that is the voice or voices of the minority. They equally play a pivotal role in shaping the democracy. As being the opposition party or the main opposition party in the country, I do believe that every serious democracy listens to the opposition, more especially when such concerns are genuine and legit. And so our concerns have been very genuine and legit, but we have seen that the government of today has not treated those genuine concerns with the utmost seriousness they deserve. And so we've decided not to resort to barbarism. We've decided not to pelt stones at each other, but rather in a very civilized and gentle way, that, you know what, we are constitutionally elected officers of our parties to representing our party at different stratas. Okay. And it is these personalities or these people we've called upon that inasmuch as our vast majority have communicated through our elected representatives that this is exactly what they want, and the government seems not to be listening to them, let us at least, first have a sit down and subsequently we'll communicate now to government that this sit-down has now progressed. Remember, you had a conversation with me that we have, among so many things we intend to do, is first to call out MPs and mayors to sit down first for a week, and after that we have continual progress we're making. And so the second step we've now taken is to communicate formally that our MPs, chairpersons, mayors, and councillors have formally withdrawn from governance and will continue to sit until the government sits and negotiates with us that indeed there's one person in this country that, if given the opportunity, he has the proclivity to plunge in this country into war. It's very clear.
So, aside withdrawing from government, what other resolution did you arrive at that meeting?
Well, as I said, Emilio Mari's journey begins with the first step. The first step was one to sit at home. We've taken another step further to now communicating formally to government, moral guarantors, international communities, and the wider public that indeed councillors, mayors, chairpersons, and our elected members of parliament have now communicated that indeed we are not going to any organization or any dealings with government on the sole condition that the government has not acted in good faith. He has not followed the tripartite recommendations, and the government has not in any way shown willingness that indeed the 8C recommendations that were the convergent recommendations are ready. They are ready to implementing them in good faith and to the latter.
Do you know that doing this, you're disrupting governance?
I don't think we're disrupting governance. I think, in fact, we're complementing government, because a government without checks and balances, for which we are providing checks and balances, you realize that. And Baron de Montesquieu made it very clear that for governance, you must have what we call checks and balances. And these are fundamental to checkmate the excesses of government and to bring in government into areas that they have in pitfalls or lacunas. And so this is exactly what constructively the APC is doing. So at this material point, I think we're doing more service to the nation than a disservice to the nation, because, hey, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Edmond Sylvester Alpha is somebody who is not fit for that office he has been appointed to occupy.
But he didn't propose anyone. That's the argument. I mean, I heard, Honorable Alpha Kanu here and Honorable, your opposition leader in Parliament.
Honorable Abdul Kagbo.
Yes, Abdul Kagbo. And it was an inspiring conversation. One thing emerged from that, that emerged from that conversation was that always diplomacy, strikes the balance. So Honorable Khan was basically saying they could have negotiated, could have gone to Parliament, made their case, so that the record should be there, it should exist, that we oppose this particular candidate. But as well, when your party was written, you outright debunked, right, the man's candidacy. However, the argument was that you didn't profile any candidates in place of Edmond Alpha. Why, as a party? Had you suggested someone else, perhaps they would have, been keen to explore in that particular option.
To the greatest of respect I have for my daddy, Honorable Alpha Bakar Siddiqui Kanu, I think he's not been fair to Sierra Leoneans and to the office he's occupying. Okay. He is aware of Resolution 36. So for him to come and argue the minority leader in Parliament to say, we did not profile or suggest an alternative, it's a disservice to his very self and his office occupying, and by extension, Sierra Leoneans. Because why? In Resolution 36, it says, we are going to have a search and nomination committee that will be purportedly set, supervised by the Public Service Commission, wherein they will provide regulatory framework or oversight as to soliciting who will be competent Sierra Leoneans to at least occupy the position or the head position of the National Returning Officer of ECSL. And amidst this work, they will be having applications from all Sierra Leoneans who are competent enough. And at the end of the day, they will submit 3 competent names. That comes now to answering that question. That this has been already been foreseen. That we need to submit 3 names, and this was exactly what was captured in Resolution 36. So for him again to be seated here, that we did not provide alternative, It's a disservice to his very self and to Sierra Leone as a whole. Because we have agreed, government and the opposition party have agreed in the agreement of national unity, by extension, the tripartite recommendation, that we are going to have a search and nomination committee, which upon the completion of its search and nomination, they will submit to the president 3 competent Sierra Leoneans. Amongst these 3, the president will now choose one and send to parliament for approval. This is exactly the modus operandi. So for them to boycott these all-important operations and then come again and sit broad daylight to tell us, hey, you will have been in the well of parliament to make your positions known, should not be honest to Sierra Leoneans.
But AKK, the government is saying these recommendations are yet to be implemented. For instance, that 35, of course, recommendations 35, 36, 37,
78, 20.
Yeah, 78 and the like, they all deal with Electoral Commission and reforms and the like. But the point is, this is the law. Where has the government gone wrong legally?
I'm going to provoke you to your conscience because I know you happen to be a very good lawyer, and you're a lawyer. One thing that I dismiss to the seriousness of its intent is when people refer to that agreement as a gentleman's agreement. I'll give you landmark cases. See the case of London Property Trust, Central London Property Trust, which is normally referred to as the Pinel's case. See the case of Balfour and Balfour, the case of Mr. Merritt and Mrs. Merritt. And again, I'll take you to the Constitution of Sierra Leone, which I have in the studio with me. The sources of this Constitution tells you that this Constitution has 4 fundamental sources, i.e., we call them judge-made laws, legislations passed in parliament, norms, and our traditions. These are exactly that form the basis of this Constitution. So if you now call to tell me that a case law is not law, then you're beginning to at least challenge the authenticity of this Constitution. And so therefore, agreements of every nature, hence they were born out of good faith, and the 2 parties,
No,
I am coming, please, I'm coming. And the 2 parties are bound that they are going to be held liable to this agreement, have the efficacy of the law. And now taking it further, that indeed the agreement was not really taken to parliament and it was not ratified as in the case of the Lome Peace Accord, is beginning to tell you, now go back to section 40 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, that vests in the powers in the president to be the symbol of unity, the fountain of honor, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and that every agreement he enters into has the binding effects of the law. And thus, this is an agreement for which the president was represented by Dr. Gaima, and the opposition were represented by Dr. Samura Kamara. It has the efficacy of the law, and it was submitted to him on the 1st of June 2024. So for us to come back and backtrack to say, no, this agreement hasn't got the efficacy of the law, you're not honest to yourself.
So my question is, where has the government, what has the president done wrong legally in appointing Edmund Alpha as Chief Electoral Commissioner at this point, owing to the fact that both the 1991 Constitution and, of course, the tripartite agreement, these recommendations are yet to be implemented?
I have to come down a very little because I thought I was just making it very clear from a legal point of view. What the president has done very wrong. The president is mindful of the fact that Resolution 36 in the tripartite recommendations equally proffered to government that Section 32(3) needs to be amended. Clear?
Yes.
And that has been tabled in Parliament. So I am telling you now that firstly, where the president has gone wrong is that that agreement in the tripartite was born out of good faith. And you are very much mindful of the fact that we know of this proverbial saying that if it's not broken, then fix it. And because we know Section 32(3) is broken, and it's not a good law, it's a bad law, we want to amend it. That is why both the government of Sierra Leone and the APC party agreed to go to Parliament to amend Section 32(3). So for you now to know that this is already an ongoing program, an ongoing constitutional amendment, and again, all of a sudden, you backpedal from it and come again to enforcing a statutory express provision of Section 32(3) that indeed I have the powers to appoint a commissioner pending the constitutional amendment of Section 32(3), it's where the president has not acted in good faith. So if you ask him where the president has gone wrong in the appointment of Edmund Alpha, I am telling you legally, one, he has not acted in good faith through a contractual agreement. And so he is now beginning to tell us that indeed the contract we entered into, the agreement we entered into was tainted by fraud. I'm talking to you as a lawyer. So because it was tainted by fraud, that means the government of Sierra Leone has defrauded Sierra Leoneans. Yes, and so that is exactly an illegality. And so, transcending it now further, basing on that same premise, that Resolution 36 has opted that Section 32(3) of the Constitution needs to be amended. And this statutory instrument or constitutional amendment bill is now in the well of Parliament. It has gone through the first reading. And so, why can't us wait to see that the vast majority of Sierra Leoneans, inclusive the government of today and the APC, has converged? They have both agreed that let us amend Section 32(3). And then you don't follow that position, you don't follow that agreement, and now you come daylight to tell us that agreement was a gentleman's agreement. It hasn't got the light of the day.
Who said the agreement was a gentleman's agreement?
It was not.
No, who said?
I heard it from the secretary of the SLPP, Paran Tarawali. I heard it from so many people that have said, myself and Mambo was all over the place, that he was calling that agreement a gentleman's agreement. Again, let me just make this very clear for the edification of the public. A gentleman's agreement can stand the test of the day in court. Hence, it was born bona fide. Let us understand this very clear. A gentleman's agreement has its day in court. Hence, it is born bona fide. Meaning, wherever you and I may have agreed on to do, that if I wash your car, you pay me 5,000 leones, and I washed your car and you fail to pay me 4,000 leones or 5,000 leones, as the case may be, I'll take you to court. Because it's an agreement we have agreed to, for me to offer you services, and in return, you pay for my services.
But you haven't gone to court, that's the thing.
You
haven't gone to court.
So that is what we are saying. We are now saying that there is something that has gone wrong. Now we are now looking at remedies to addressing this wrong.
Okay.
First remedy is to make sure that we communicate to the wider populace that indeed the government of the day has committed a wrong, and two, that we are not acquiescing. You know the doctrine of acquiescence. We are not acquiescing that indeed what they have done, we are ready to accept it, and we have now expressed our dissent that indeed this is done wrong, and we have not accepted it, and now we are showing that because we are not accepting it, these are the further steps we are taking. Okay. And we've told you many a time that indeed the APC is not insolvent of positions to take. First step was to tell our MPs and all elected officials to sit. The second step we've taken now to tell them officially now we have not only seated at home, now we have taken a further step that we're not participating. Subsequent actions are going to be taken.
Okay, AKK, how long can the All People's Congress sustain this stance?
As long as the president and the government of Sierra Leone are not ready to listen to Sierra Leoneans. Is there not a rule
that says that if MPs don't show up in Parliament for sittings after 30 days, they lose their seats?
It's not really 30 days. Let me edify that one. It's for 30 sittings.
30 sittings, okay.
And one thing I want us to understand, the America today people are yearning to go. There are people who sacrificed their sweat and blood for the beauty and the largesse they are enjoying today in America. And so you look the case of Rosa Parks, Margaret Thatcher, the Ku Klux Klan, and so many civil rights activists, Martin Luther King Jr. and others, a host of them, all of them sacrificed their blood and sweat for civil rights, for the black man to be heard in America. Some of them do not enjoy what the Barack Obama has today enjoyed. Some people prepared that platform for the Barack Obama today to enjoy what they enjoy. So today, our MPs, our councillors elected are ready to sacrifice for the betterment of Sierra Leone. If that is going to cost them to lose their seats for the betterment of Sierra Leone, if that is going to cause them that the current government cannot listen to the majority of Sierra Leoneans, who by every estimation, we know that every parliamentarian seated in the well of Parliament, they are representing the APC, has over 30 to 40,000 Sierra Leoneans.
And don't you think that's a disservice to these people who voted for them?
No, it's not a disservice, my lady. My lady, in fact, it is a service to the people that you and I know that whosoever that is seated there in the well of Parliament as a parliamentarian is representing his electorate. And so whatever he does is in acceptance or is in approval to the people who have voted him in by extension. So they are moving out of parliament. It's in wider agreement with those elected electorates who elected them that indeed this is what we want, and that is why they are out of parliament.
So what conditions must be met by the government and of course by default the president for the People's Congress to reconsider their decision and fully participate in governance?
We are not asking for much, my lady Halima. We are just asking that somebody who is unfit for that office has occupied that office based on his conduct and character over the years.
Can you tell us some of these conducts and characters that makes you people feel that Edmund Alpha is not at all fit for that position?
Number one is character. Upon his appointment as acting ECSL boss, he had a podcast or an interview with one of the media outlets, I cannot name it for its specificity, that he says unequivocally that 2018, 2023, and 2028 are going to be business as usual. And that Sierra Leoneans don't expect anything new. Try to understand, and this is the punchline I'm going to address. Unless Sierra Leoneans don't expect anything new in 2028, because 2028 is just going to be a reflection of 2023 and 2018. Now the punchline is this. You and I know that 2023 was exactly one of the most discredited elections ever in the history of Sierra Leone, i.e. the Carter Center, the European Observer Missions, NEW, and so many international organized elections observers missions commented that indeed those elections did not meet international benchmarks. And thus those elections lack institutional and fundamentally independence and transparency in the tallying process, and thus it has statistical inconsistencies fundamentally. And that exactly was the reason why the APC said we are not going to participate in governance, and it gave birth to the Agreement of National Unity. And the president, in his wisdom, upon his second term in office and in his opening address to the state in parliament, commented that because we know that our elections have been manned over the years by so many distrusts and so many irregularities, I, the president of the republic, in his exact words, is going to set up a committee that will review electoral laws and other reforms to making sure that future elections does not have a resemblance of what has just happened. And he appointed the vice president to be the committee chair. Fast forward, that committee was later subsumed into the Agreement of National Unity, and we later had the tripartite. The tripartite, all things being equal, fast forward, we and the government had what we call convergent views. When we say convergent views means the government accepted, the APC accepted, and we said this is what we accept. And we had 4 divergent views, which were annexed to the report. But in this convergent view, which you and I agreed, we agreed that indeed the 2023 elections were manned by so many irregularities, and we accept for reforms. And so for the now commissioner, listen, this is why I'm just opposing it. For the now commissioner to say the future election is not going to be different from an election we have gone to an agreement for national unity for and tripartite recommendations for us to have free, fair, and future elections that are credible. You're saying it's not going to be different from that one. You and I provokes a question of what essence will we have him there. If change is not going to come, why is he there? It's a genuine, legitimate concern, my people. Let us just don't leave the APC alone to be crying out as if we are the only people who are going to suffer this trouble when it comes in the future. We are saying, as a responsible opposition in this country, we are foreseeing future challenges. We are now becoming the town criers to say, hey, wait a second. Let us don't allow to be seated in our convenient couch and good offices and enjoy the largest and laxity of today and forget that something is looming that has the proclivity of dividing this country in the future. And so we are not saying we are forewarning our people. Let us all come together and communicate to governments that you are doing something that is not right. It has the tendency of putting this country into a standstill. We all know the aftermath of the brutal and uncivilized war we fought for 11 years in this country. All it was born out of political inconsistencies of this kind of nature. And so we are asking, let us don't revert back to the bad old memories. We are now asking, let us have a fine way to revisit this. It's not something that cannot be done. We have got so many instances in this country where Pakaba appointed an electoral commissioner, and the people of this country said, no, we don't want this person. He withdrew his appointment and appointed another person for the interest of peace. Don't forget that Sierra Leone is enjoying a fragile peace. And all of us in this country know exactly the brunt of war. But again, we are warning them that these things you're doing hasn't got those good legs to stand on to make the future be bright and beautiful.
Okay, in the circumstance, wouldn't your party's representatives' abstinence from governance at the moment further weaken the party's abilities to hold the government accountable where they need to?
I believe that serving our people does not only limit us to parliament. Serving our people is to come out there and constructively engage government into areas that needs a national attention. We've accurately called government on several occasions that Resolution 78 is still not adhered to. Resolution 78 has asked us to have a national dialogue as to which form of participation and representation we want to elect our next elected officers. Government is still taking a snail-paced approach to that one. We have seen where we've told government that recommendation 20 is asking for Parliament to have an oversight committee to checkmate the excesses of ECSL. Nothing is done in that direction. We have resolution 30, sorry, resolution is if there's a resolution, I don't know whether it's 38 or 37, which talks about the census, that you should not have data from the decennial census, which is less than 24 months, and it cannot be used. All these things are so many things that are done brazenly, and we are bringing all this to the attention of government. So we still continue to be the alternative voice. And our people know that our denial or our desire not to participate in governance is not born out of malice. It is born out of good faith for the interest and for the peace of all of us.
But in an event wherein the government and, of course, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone insists that he is using the law, he is following the law to the latter, well, the law in existence at the moment because it has not been amended as we speak. And for that reason, he's not going to fall back on his decision to appoint Edmund Alpha as the Chief Electoral Commissioner. What will the All People's Congress do?
I think, speaking to President Bill directly, he must understand that indeed he is the father of this nation. He must understand that indeed there is nothing he wants better than the peace and quiet of this country. He must understand that he's not only president for SLPP, he's president for all of us, including the APC. And that what is best for Sierra Leone is what you must almost prioritize. And thus, I'll provoke you now to your professional arena. In law, we have the literal interpretation of statutes. We have the mischief, we have the purposive, and we have the golden. So for every interpretation you want to give to a particular wrongdoing, you have to have so many things into contemplation. Public policy and other issues. So even if you want to give it as literal as it would be, that meaning, you will say, oh, because of public policy consideration, let me see how best I can suppress the mischief and advance the remedy. You can have the mischief rule. Other people will say, no, you know what? I have seen that indeed this is exactly what I will do. I am provided for by law to do A, B, and Z. But attempting to do it will not provide the required result. Let me bend backwards to making sure this happens because it is for the greater good. That is Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham says the doctrine of utilitarianism is that you cannot always settle for what is convenient for you as an individual. You have to look at what is good for the majority. The utilitarian doctrine. That let me do what is good for the greater majority as opposed to doing what is good for the lesser minority. So you look at what exactly the people of this country want. So you as the leader, the fountain of honor, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Republic of Sierra Leone, it behoves you at any point in time to act in good faith.
Who determines who is the greater majority and the lesser minority in this case?
This is exactly why we continue to say that it goes without saying.
Because for all you know, the president can say, well, this is for the greater good, or this is for the good of the greater majority. And he might consider the other side as
and you and I
lesser
know
minority.
That these elections that are in question are still highly questionable, and we still challenge the statistics that we are involved into at least allocating seats to parliamentarians and to councillors right across the country. I will give you statistics. This is a situation where you can see the number of votes that got from the SLPP in Poloko, they were able to have 1 or 2 MPs. But the votes the APC got in Bo and Kenema, they cannot have 1 seat. I don't know.
Was it more than what the SLPP had in Potoloka?
So you see,
Was
far outweigh. But we cannot have seats in this. So it's telling you that is why international partners said that particular elections of 2023 was marked by so many statistical inconsistencies. So as far as what the question is, who determines who the majority are, the APC knows we are the majority and the largest political party in this country. If they want to test that one, let us be given the opportunity to fairly play. Let us have us all equal before the law, and let us see how the people of this country can react when it comes to the APC and the SLPP through the ballot box.
You know, I wanted to call you
honorable. You like calling me honorable?
I wanted to, you know, I've listened to your conversation. The crux of your argument as a party, even I read your press release yesterday, and you were still calling the elections illegitimate, you know, flawed, you know, and all of that. But the question I want to ask is this: are you singing from the same hymn sheets in the APC?
Well, this is exactly an answer, or answering affirmatively yes. Okay. Because we're singing from the same hymn sheets, and that signals to a future question we tend to ask: how solidified is the APC? How united we are? When you are united, you come to understand that, in fact, our information flow becomes in uniform. You realize that you now sing from the same hymnal, and we understand that, indeed, we have one person who is exactly the person who is providing and dictating the tone. So therefore, in the APC now, all of us speak from the same hymn sheet, and we sing from the same hymnal, meaning there is no longer a room for discord and distort. However, we've now understood very clear that no matter how we continue to fight ourselves in our house, it's only going to affect us adversely. Let us come together as one family and one house to challenge the common enemy. And that is exactly what we are now doing as a political party that is ready to take over governance.
I'm going to come from John Stuart Mill's lens of the utilitarian, you know, philosophy. You see, it's always for the general good, as you've said earlier. However, a high-ranking member within your party have always questioned the, well, if you like, the philosophical underpinnings of your, you know, your requests, your argument as a party. Dr. Blyden had always said that there's never been a time in this country when disaggregated data has been published. He has even challenged most of you within the party, you know, with substantial evidence or pieces of evidence, if you like. So the question is, do you have any evidence of this rigging? Why I'm asking this is because, first of all, you didn't go to court. You said the legal system is flawed. But the question would be, do you have evidence to back this argument? We've been like in this for like 3 years now, plus.
Yeah, Victor,
you're still arguing that the
elections
were rigged.
To your question
aside
is,
international publications, of course, of the outcome of the election.
Yes.
What do you have as a party?
Yes. Aside international commentary, as a party, we have first-hand evidence that whilst tallying and inputting was done in the regional headquarters of Poloko for the Northwest, Kone announced 60% results, including results received from Poloko, the Northwestern region. And the argument was...
And counting was still on?
That is exactly... And the argument was, Kemosi say, Honorable Abdukabo, and a host of others say, hey, not to Poloko and the also Karine, Poloko and Cambia. We don't even know for it. They don't even tally it, the RRF. They had the RRFs. They have not even inputted it. First-hand evidence. Number two, the current Sylvester Edmond Alpha was the same regional commissioner in Kwenadugu that we had a by-election for council of elections that changed under his supervision 049 to now read 149 and give an undue advantage to an SLPP candidate over the APC candidate. Forensic examples, videotapes, evidence of such nature are in our possession. Climax in all these arguments is that at the tripartite recommendations, whilst I was working in the tripartite technical committee, we had a standoff, if you can recall, before the compilation of the reports in its entirety. And we said ECSL should bring the disaggregated data. And I want to challenge the disaggregated data with the RRF forms we now have. and let me say this to you, we took to Bintumani truckloads of IRF forms. Victor, I hope I'm getting the attention.
Go ahead.
So if you're asking,
of course.
we took to Bintumani truckloads of IRF forms. I mean, not hard copies of IRF form. Although we had serious challenges to having IRF forms because we did not fill in party agents in the south and southeastern region because political intimidation was at its climax. But within some areas in the south and southeast, like for Bo and some areas in Bond and Pujol, we had some few areas we had party agents, and the entire western area and the northwest, every RF we were able to have in our possession, we took to Bintumani. You know what ECSS says? That information is classified and they cannot let it out. We had that standoff for 2 weeks. And then the president called us again. He said, you know what? I have told you I am ready to make sure that we implement those recommendations to the latter. Please let us just wrap up this whole thing and let us get ourselves moving. We realize that he's the fountain of honor. He's somebody who can take by his words. And we relied on that representation. And then we continued the program. All of a sudden now, the president comes to backpedal to say, no, I am not going to follow that one. I am going to do A, B, and C. That is exactly why he caught us off guard. And this is not exactly what we expected from him as the president of the republic. So, to answer your question, yes, we had classical and first-hand evidence to showcase that indeed those elections were not exactly what exactly was read. That those elections were a broad daylight robbery of exactly the sovereignty of the people of this country. That their right to choose who they want was robbed of them.
You know, at some point, one has to think about the general good. I've just quoted John Stuart Mills there for utilitarian. But again, another philosophical thought may come to mind. That is the Aristotelian, philosophy, which is the golden mean.
I do admire him so much.
Not too much, not too little. At some point, you always try compromises in life. For the general good, is the APC ready to compromise?
Yes, let me make this very clear to you. In fact, to show how willing we are to compromise, the leadership of the party has written the president that we want to have a one-on-one conversation with him. If we're not willing for that, we will not have taken the bold step to write him. We'll have sat in our quiet corner to say, let us see that if you need, we will call we. But we say, no, let me write him back and tell us, say, Pa, we want to talk to you. We've done that one. And I am very much aware that we were supposed to meet him yesterday. And we communicated our apologies that we cannot meet as per the schedule of the protocols at State House because we had this last day of our meeting with our local councillors, so our local authorities, right from chairpersons, mayors and councillors, and so communicated to him that can we have a reschedule of our meeting. So the position is this: we are willing to sit with the president because the APC and the president share a common ideology, and that is the peace and quiet of Sierra Leone. We want to see Sierra Leone where everybody has the ability to go up freely in the morning, go out there and fend his living in a peaceful and serene environment. So we don't want anything that will plunge this country into chaos. And so that's exactly what the message we want to take to the president. That, Mr. President, you're nicknamed as the father of democracy, and you know that your good deeds can only be achieved when you leave this country in peace and quiet. And so you can only measure up the successes of a leader after he may have descended the throne. And then you see how his succession plan is effective, and you can see exactly his legacies. And so President Bio, we are ready to engage him to say, President Bio, you've said you are one person who has enjoyed the special grace of God to have led this country thrice now. First as a military person, now as a civilian twice. You like this country as you manifest. Please see Sierra Leone as one nation, irrespective of APC or SLPP, irrespective of you being a Mende man or a Temne man. I am born to a Temne Soso family, but born in Bond Island. You think I applied to God to be born in Bond? No. So for me, I have the place I call home, except Bond Island and the southern region. This is where I can relate. This is where I have my peers. I have brothers.
Okay.
I can relate to school together. This is where I can go. I feel freely, and you understand.
Okay.
But I cannot enjoy it as compared to Cambia and Polo and Tonkolili, because I am being seen there as a stranger completely. So what we are saying is that we are ready to engage with the president. A win-win situation.
Okay.
That President Bill, we are not just saying we don't want Edmond Celeste Alpha born out of malice,
Okay.
but it is born out of genuity. That this person, just after his approval again in Parliament, he came again to mock Sierra Leoneans in a different fashion. He ridiculed us. He tried to tell us that indeed, whether you will like it or not, I've been appointed by the president. And he sang and provoked us.
That's a song everybody dances to.
Madam,
Finally, Ting Dong Bill. Is that not the song? That's a song we all dance.
Do you think it was actually referring to?
Yes, it's in the windows.
Okay.
And I know what in the windows are. Finally, because he knew before his appointment, we have come out strongly and standingly to say, no, this person is not fit for this job.
You find that objectionable?
Correct. And so he came out to say, finally, and he was mimicking us to the extent that if you watch the video keenly, Victor, I'm drawing that to your attention, maybe by oversight you may have not countenanced that. There was an undertone to say, well, we don't know 2028. Finally, 2028 don't know, we don't know where we are.
But he didn't say those words.
Yes, I said an undertone.
Someone was around.
Yes, an undertone. And so you see, tell me.
How genuine is are your representatives, the All People's Congress Party representatives, in the boycott? Because the communications person, Mike Bewa, at State House, did put up a post on Facebook that says, permit me to read, you boycott your office, but you no boycott meeting, seminar or workshop, we get fat per DM and sitting fees, Coney left. And we all are assuming that he's actually referring to the APC MPs.
Okay. Let me share this, and it's my individual opinion, and I hold that to myself, and I take responsibility of it in its entirety. Sierra Leone belongs to the global village. Do we make sense? And so, if you want to register dissent, you cannot just register it locally. You have to cascade it to the wider audience. And so I know that indeed, after we said let us sit at home, the minority leader attended the ECOWAS Parliamentary Summit.
Even after the declaration of the boycott?
Yes, he attended. That's an international platform which has nothing to do with the government of the SLPP.
So should another opportunity come up now?
Now let me just land on this one, please, my lady. It was at that platform that the minority leader of parliament attended. He was able to lay bare that indeed, one, the issue of Guinea and the saga between the Guinean authorities and our SLA was really something that of regional concern, and he brought that to the attention of ECOWAS. Further to that one, he communicated to ECOWAS that the main opposition party has decided to walk out of parliament because somebody who has been part of the problem is now appointed to come in to be somebody who should pretend our future elections. And that is not accepted by the opposition, and we are calling on the international community to begin to see that indeed problem is looming. Future chaos is looming all over the place. And so this is exactly a platform he goes to anchor some of these dissent. And thus, the mayor of the municipality equally, she is the co-chair of the C20 or C40 organization. She has to communicate that position to the globe. She has to make that known. And so many MPs or so many of us belong to different world organizations.
So is it a partial boycott?
Is that
So are they going to be actually
it's a complete boycott.
making representations where necessary?
We
or they're going to
continue.
be
No, it's not
cherry picking
representations.
where we can go and what we can do
No.
and what we cannot do? Or is it a complete boycott?
It's a complete boycott, but one thing you cannot take away from them is that those people are not appointed by the president. They are elected. So you cannot rule them off. Just like you say you can rule them off within the strike of a pen. No.
Nobody's ruling them off. They're actually saying they don't want to participate.
Yes, they are not participating, not because they want to do so out of malice. But it is done and it is born out of good faith.
So is it that
it's
they
bona
want
fide.
It's either they want to boycott or they don't want to boycott.
They have boycotted and as a party have supported that position in its entirety. But however, that does not preclude us from making sure that this action has to be cascaded to the international community.
Okay, also AKK, Honorable Givao, in an interview with another radio station, he made claims that the All People's Congress was pushing for the appointment of Marcella Samba Sise to the Chief Electoral Commissioner position. What do you have to say to that?
I think I cannot say better than what Marcella herself said.
What has she said?
She said she's a political asset and she has made her reputation for herself for over the years, and she has never been a politician, nor has she belonged or associated herself to any of these political parties. And she continues to enjoy that independence and neutrality. So how can the APC push for that? However, I don't want to comment on
So you're saying the APC has never pushed for Marcella Samba Sise to be the Chief Electoral Commissioner?
I cannot say that. The APC believes that one thing we have accepted collectively, both the government of this country and the APC, is to have a search and nomination committee where who solicit applications from well-meaning Sierra Leoneans who think amongst themselves that they are very competent to provide leadership at that particular office. And then through the search and nomination committee, they will vet them and have 3 nominees they will submit to Parliament. That's the position of the APC. Any other position outside that is not true. It's baseless and fictitious.
At what point does this standoff end? I mean, considering the fact that a very serious legislation is already tabled in Parliament, the 1991 Constitution Amendment Bill, that has to do with elections in Sierra Leone. The same things you're arguing for now, AKK. At some point, your members have to go to Parliament to debate this thing. It's a very serious legislation, and being absent from the well risks, twisting the coin around and perhaps even, making things worse. Don't you think so? How soon can you end this?
What I can expect from all of us, including you guys who are representing the Fourth Estate, is to start to having conversations to making sure that some of the vices that plunged this country into 11 years ruthless war are now clearly visible than any other time before. The TRC recommendations or TRC reports reported clearly and precisely that Sierra Leone shall forever continue to enjoy multi-party democracy.
Okay.
And so any attempt to strangulate that particular display of multi-party democracy, it requires all of us to come collectively and say no.
But no one drove you from Parliament. You left for yourselves.
And I repeat,
that's the thing.
Vicky, except if you want to be the devil's advocate.
I understand.
I'm
just saying.
We were not driven from Parliament. We left Parliament on the fear and genuine concern that somebody who is unfit for that office has occupied the office based on his conduct and his personal and integrity checks.
I understand. I mean, we've discussed all of that.
Correct. And thus we have said, until and unless this person is removed from that particular seat, who will not participate because he hasn't got that track record.
And you've requested to speak with the president.
Correct.
Yes.
So
when can that happen is the question.
It's now left
I think you were scheduled for yesterday, right? But you had a meeting.
Yes.
So
it's now left to the president to know that he's the father of the nation. He's the father for both the
By the way, was yesterday an official request from State House to see you?
No, we were. I think it was like we called for the meeting. I told you that we called for the meeting.
Okay.
And to very large extent, we were made to know, I repeat, we were made to know that amidst the president having this committee he was chairing for the Fit Salon project, that he has equally booked, or we are booked to see the president after that particular process. Okay. So, we are able to communicate again to the channel that indeed, let us please be pardoned that in as much as the president is busy chairing one or two things, let us equally continue let us do it simultaneously, and if time cannot permit us, we'll reschedule for another time. So that's exactly, if I find a win-win situation.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're now waiting again for the next call from the president. We are willing, we are ready to dialogue. So now, when and how long it will last is now condition dependent on the president.
On the president's call, okay.
It's not only on the
So the
president's
sooner
call.
the president call you, then this whole thing will end.
No, it's not only on the president's call.
Okay.
It's the beginning of the solving or the solution to the problem. That when the president calls, we sit with him and we agree to disagree.
Let's be frank. The crux of this matter is APC wants Edmond Alpha removed from office.
That's our position.
That's the crux of the matter.
That's our position.
And you are aware, as a lawyer, that these things do not just happen abagadabra. This man has gone through the process. He has been hired. Removing him would require some, legal stuff.
I agree. I agree.
It's not as easy as, drinking water.
Let us go again to the same constitution here that gives the president those powers.
Okay.
He hires and fires. And again, the term limit that he's been appointed for a term of office of 5 years, for a term of office of 1 year or 5 years. Sorry, a term of office of one term for 5 years.
Yeah.
Now, it's the same president that has those powers again to remove him even when those 5 years of one term is not complete on fundamental reasons. So equally is the appointment of a judge.
Let's
a judge
assume
can
you
be
are-
appointed, but again, there are equally procedures as always removed.
And let's assume you're in front of the president now. What tangible pieces of evidence can you give the president that would warrant him to remove Mr. Alpha?
How I wish that the party, when they will be meeting with the president, I'll be selected to be amongst.
I'm sure you would be. I mean,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
you are an instrumental man.
I know,
Do you
but
have these pieces of evidence with
I
you?
know. And even yesterday, I
Okay.
was with the party, but I continue to say, how I wish I would be with the president.
Because I'm sure
I'll
if
go
I
to
told
the
you have
president.
these evidences,
Yes.
this piece of
I'll
evidence,
go to the president.
perhaps the president could listen
I'll
to
ask
you.
my party that, Mr. President, I beg of your leave amongst your most busy schedule. I will take a projector and a flash drive and everything to say, President, the person you appointed, look at what he did.
Okay.
Maybe the president may have not seen all what you are
Okay.
saying. And
Let's-
then
It's
I will
possible.
provoke the president to his conscience.
It's
His
possible.
Excellency the President, look at this man. Look at his conduct. Look at how he superintended over a by-election. Look at after his appointment what he did. Look at what he said that after one you've said, let us have a review of our elections policies and laws. This is what he said, Mr. President, to your conscience. Is this person fit to superintend future elections?
Let's go to
I'll talk to the
Facebook.
president.
Let's go to Facebook and get some of the messages from our viewers. AKK. Person is saying, Olawumi Koka is saying, Honorable Anes Kuma don't sell we to SLPP from 2018. What can you say about that? And then this one is saying, Asan Conte is saying, international community self don't fed up with UNA APC behavior since in opposition. No constructive opposition engagement has ever been done by the APC as main opposition party in parliament. And Christopher Masako here is saying, AKK, that's 1960 style politics will not work in 2026. You cannot keep asking ECSL for disaggregated data when you and I know that kind of data has never been released in previous elections, even when APC was in power. APC had agents in every polling station across the country. If the elections were truly stolen, why not present your own results and take the matter to court? That is simple common sense, and as a lawyer, you should know that evidence is proven in court, not only on social media. This is 2026. People are more informed now, and many will not fall for cheap propaganda, confusion, or repeated claims without proof. Sierra Leoneans want facts and not just political talk. And this other one is saying, Nathan Lansana is saying, starts to go to hell. It is done and dusted.
You see?
And Magdalene Massa Boyma is saying, there are numerous issues happening around the world, and I believe we as a nation are wasting valuable time on matters that don't contribute to the well-being and prosperity of our people. We should focus on what truly brings food and sustenance to our table. What can you say to some of these messages?
As a lawyer, you know, it's your evidence that makes your case. I agree. But I want to ask the person if, unto this moment, 3 years after election, if he has ever seen the result that was announced by ECSL. You know, as a lawyer, that a lawyer is as good as his case. And when you go to court, you go with sufficient evidence to support your argument. So if we are going to court to challenge a result based on what we have to have something we can challenge. But there's nothing we can challenge. Nothing was published. Nothing was given to us. So how can we go to court? And you know, when you go to court with a fictitious claim, your matter is thrown out of court with cost. And you know that. So the person who is challenging me as a lawyer, I think I have given him a free tutorial on that you don't go to court in empty hands. The court is not a Father Christmas where you just go and ask for things that you know they cannot be achieved. If you want to ask the court to provide you something, you have to go there in good faith, and you have to go there readily prepared to ask for what you want to ask. Or else, if you go there very, very empty, you'll be faced with so many challenges, i.e. costs of the day and cost of what we call fictitious claims or malicious prosecution or malicious litigation. So that is settled for that person. Somebody says the APC has never engaged the government constructively. I don't think if there's any other means of engaging a government constructively rather than what we are doing. I don't know what his understanding of constructive opposition is, but again, I appreciate his view. That is exactly the beauty of democracy, the entitlement to opinion. No matter what it is, we may not share the same opinion. And somebody saying that 1960 politics will not have the day of, will not stand the test of the day. We don't enjoy the politics of 1960. The APC is an organic party, and we enjoy the government and the beauty of what exactly that happens on a daily basis. And we adjust ourselves to emerging situation. So the APC is now very, very prepared and performing as to what exactly is the demands of today. And so the demands of today requires constructive engagement, peaceful dialogue, and a win-win situation. Let us sit on a round table to agree to disagree for the betterment of Sierra Leone. That is also the reason why I always say this to the Chief Minister, that his statements to the opposition members of Parliament was quite unfortunate. You cannot be occupying such a very serious office and then continue to talk to people in such a demeaning way. I can understand he's a young person and he has not been to governance, save for the fact that he was ushered into governance by the retired brigadier as a first-timer. So he's still learning so much. And I'll provoke him to continue to ask kindly and shelve the issue of being petty, to sit in the classroom of Dr. Kelfara Mara and Dr. Richard Conte, because these are people who have occupied that office before him. They can school him better to know exactly what is expected of somebody who occupies that office. So you see, we continue to say this, not because we want to have political scorecards, but we want to see the betterment of Sierra Leone. We want to see how Sierra Leone can continue to push forward. We want to see how peace, and this fragile peace we are having, will continue to nurture it and nourish it. So for us as the APC, we believe there's only one thing we can do. Let us communicate our dissent to the government.
This other person said, Honorable Aneskoma, don't sell we to SLPP from 2018. What can you say about that?
And that is exactly where I was coming now.
Okay.
I can remember that Honorable Indolomoe Ibao, this is maybe his second time in Parliament, and he has interfaced so many times with myself and so many people in governance then. And he can relate to a very large extent that what he just said about the APC is not true, and that somebody who said that indeed President Koroma sold us to the SLPP, I want to say that statement is untrue. It's not correct. But President Koroma showcased the finesse and the beauty of democracy, that it don't have to be always pauper. It don't have to be always a matter of must. Politics is a matter of who the people want. So if President Bio won the election in 2018, I think it was so gentleman of President Koroma former, it was so honorary of President Koroma former to hand over power to who the people have accepted and have voted for legitimately. So that does not in any way mean that he prepared the APC on the altar of crucifixion of the SLPP. No, he did what was honorable of him by legitimately, constitutionally, and democratically handing over power to who the people have chosen for that moment. So for me, I don't see that as any wrongdoing, but rather he acted as a statesman, he acted as somebody who believes in democracy, and he acted as somebody who believes that he loves Sierra Leone. For the peace and quiet of Sierra Leone, he did what was expected of him.
AKK, Sierra Leoneans, the ordinary citizens, always do worry about political tensions escalating. What assurance will your party, the All People's Congress, give Sierra Leoneans today that this stance will not destabilize the country's democratic institutions and possibly the country's democratic image?
Well, let me tell you, our withdrawal from government has adverse effects on government. But one thing that will solve the problem if when government appreciates it and understands that they alone cannot run government. This is very clear. You know me now. I'm somebody who is very blunt with the truth. Our withdrawal from government is going to adversely affect government. But it is only if government appreciates that and says, you know what, let us come together for the benefit of Sierra Leoneans. It is the people of this country that matters. Let us agree to disagree to make things happen for our people in this country. So for me, what I want to make very clear to you, Madam Judge, is that inasmuch as we know that our withdrawal from participating in governance is going to adversely affect government, we want to see how government can appreciate it and call us to the sitting table or to the negotiating table, and let us agree to disagree for the best interest of
So wait a minute, are you doing this because you want the government to call you to a round table, or are you doing it because you want Edmund Alpha to be removed as Chief Electoral Commissioner?
That is the focus now, we've told you.
So which is which?
No, the focus is government cannot just remove, if the government can remove Edmund Alpha today without calling us to the round table, so be it, tomorrow we'll resume our offices. But if the government says, before I remove Edmund Alpha, I want you first to tell me exactly, convince me why I have to remove Edmund Alpha. Give me, like Victor recently said, that if I'm given the opportunity to sit with President, what will I tell President? So this is exactly what the position is. So it's a two-way thing. If government is ready to see us back to our work overnight, he can withdraw his appointment. It is he that hires and fires. So he will establish reasons why he's withdrawing his appointment. And equally so, the APC takes over. So we know, even if we engage government, our ultimate goal is to have Edmund Alpha being removed from that office he's occupying, because we believe that he's not the right person for that job.
It's Barrister KK. I just hope indeed that you are called soon. If not, well, it is the people who stands to suffer, because your participation in governance is quite crucial, as you know.
I agree.
You know,
so it's not dependent on the president and the government of the day to see how best exactly we can speedily address this issue. But if they appreciate it, right. It's condition dependent if they appreciate that indeed we should be partners in development.
He's Barrister AKK, and he has been speaking on behalf of the opposition, APC, about their position. Of course, you recall that there was a press release that emanated from their office yesterday, informing the public about, you know, the resolutions they've made about staying off governance until the president hears their concern. And he has been talking about many other things this morning, including, you know, petitioning the current, you know, Chief Electoral Commissioner, Edmund Alpha's, you know, candidacy for holding that particular office. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. You've been watching us on channel 33. We are on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube this morning. We are going for a short break, and we shall be back in a jiffy. Stay tuned.
There for visit family na some partner upline pass you the tinker. If not a good road agriculture product na the city out there for bringa. From Banda Juma to Liberia border na bridges them able for Lincoln. Side where you been the take edges for reach now you yourself you know the winker. Ambulance they respond quick. Situation they on top. Transport then they do more tea. Let we go. Artists then they go on tour. Can be an hour in offer. Trader they know they suffer. Let we talk see where the road they offer. Now while they reach the border, I know the border. The road we travel.
Good to see your face again. It's been a very crazy day. The joyous feeling in the air when rain falls on a sunny day. the stars, let the road.
Enjoy life's little pleasures with Maltina. Maltina, share happiness.
As mama, I always want waiting best for me picking them, especially when it comes for waiting them for eat and drink. Now this make I always they choose Sarah juice because they make come from with local foods them and nutritious and it gets less sugar than the other drinks them. Not to me say so.
We lab test show say Sierra juice gets 50% less sugar than the other drinks them na the market.
Because we mama they know waiting best for we picking them, now you make we always they choose Sierra juice. Sierra juice and nutritious, a healthy and it's sweet. Sierra juice, not the taste of Salome.
Fellow Sierra Leoneans, on 8th August 2024, Statutory Instrument Number 8 of 2024, regarding the conduct
All right, welcome back. We're still here with you. Juma Mubarak to all our, our viewers and listeners this morning. Victor Jones is mine, and I'm here with Malamatu Judge. We're continuing with our conversations this morning. In the meantime, I would like you to watch something. So the AYV has been shooting a series of documentaries across Sierra Leone. These documentaries are part of the, funded by the National Fund for Public Interest Media, supported by the MRCG, the Media Reform Coordinating Group, headed by Dr. Barrister, Francis Soa, and of course the BBC Media Action, among many other, solid media organizations in Sierra Leone. We were funded for that particular documentary series, and the title of that documentary series is Justice or Just Us. Now, essentially what we're doing, because I'm leading the, production of that particular, episode, we are looking at, the shortcomings of the judiciary of Sierra Leone, where we can make things better. Among many things we've discovered is that the judiciary is seriously challenged with resources to adequately perform or live up to the ideals or tenets of its work in Sierra Leone. We have been to several places, McKinney, Bo, we've gone to Kenema, and in all of these places, while there are, positives, the negatives outweigh significantly. And now we've been to Kenema in this episode that I'm about to show you, for Justice or Just Us, and we've garnered the views of not only civil society activists there, but even the general public. In what way do they see the judiciary in Kenema? Please watch, shall be back.
More than 100 miles from Freetown, Kenema is one of the cities in Sierra Leone, and rekindling the clocks of time from 1930 to 1961, the city is recognized as a protectorate. According to statistics, the city has over 100,000 residents, but all is far from rosy. Beyond the rhetorics, as time marches on, the town's meaning, Kenny Ima, means no place to make a complaint, justifying the need for justice. But does it really mean that one of the scales of justice and fairness on the symbol of Lady Justicia in the philosophy of law has been dramatically different in the district? In a deepened forest, reforming its shape are the laws that protect women and girls. Does the law look like a chameleon? that changes easily, but harmlessly, and does not bite? Or do we enforce the laws already available to protect women and girls here in Kenema? But it seems as though things are falling apart. The very law expected to be a watchdog has paradoxically transcended into a lapdog that does not bite. To the citizens, here is a dream deferred. The laws that protect women and girls, like the Gender Equity and Women's Empowerment Act, the Domestic Violence Act, the Sexual Assault Act, and others, are carefully outlined in black and white. But effectiveness is far from being achieved.
So small thing where woman don't do they beat her, or sometimes when woman say this net attire, some man they never be her.
Some men beat their wives for minor reasons here in Kenema. Some beat their wives when they refuse to have sexual activity with them. We must stop these men in Kenema here who beat their wives on perpetual basis. And I believe women need justice. They should be protected from domestic violence here in Kenema. It seems the law in Kenema does not bite. I believe the court must deal with these men who beat their wives and even those who engage in sexual penetration with under 5 children or even teenage girls here in the district. This is not correct. This kind of act must stop here in Kenema. There must be a call for action.
But the one that where they get mad, they can always tell me about the story now the host. They say
as a leader for women in my community, majority of these women have been sharing their sad stories of sexual violence and assault here in Kenema. It seems the court does not protect women, and some of us do not believe that there is justice through the courts.
It's not good because pikin where you born. Now you say you born that kind pikin where small. Then you go use her as mommy business. It's not fine. Woman and they boku. Then the law did action.
They believe that justice is for the rich and not the poor. These men should stop domestic violence. There is already a campaign against domestic violence, but these men are still stubborn. For some of these men who rape children under 5, and it is terrible, I believe they should face the full penalty of the law.
All the married house, they tight for all the women there.
Here in Kenema, there is no justice for we the women. I am an example of harassment, but I'm not intimidated. We want these men to stop the domestic violence. The law does not seem to have protected these women, and going to the police is even the worst. The laws are there. They should be enforced to stop domestic violence and sexual assault.
Beyond the rhetoric, it seems sexual penetration of minors is skyrocketing here in Kenema district. Among other offences, more than 3,000 sexual gender-based violence cases were recorded in 2025 alone, according to Rainbow Initiative. Muhammad Abdullah Sama is line manager, Family Support Unit in Kenema. He affirms,
yes, that's what I said initially. We refer our cases for medical examination to Rainbow Center. They will do their examination and treatment, later give us a certificate of treatment and their findings. This is what we use as evidence to prosecute in court. Yeah, sexual penetration, is one of the cases that even police officers do fear. And as it is now, I took over this office sometimes in November. And since I resumed power here, I think sexual penetration it was on the increase. And even now as we speak, it's coming in. We are fighting tooth and nail to make sure we bring perpetrators to book. And in that fight, I've got a team. that is called the Sexual Assault Syndicate. It's a syndicate that is set to investigate sexual penetration cases. And as we speak, my brother is coming in, not because it is happening, but because of the outreach programs, sensitizing people to tell them that issues of this, they cannot sweep it under the carpet. The report is coming in. And we have just designed a sensitization program that we want to focus all senior secondary schools and junior secondary schools within Kenema.
The Rainbow Initiative in Kenema district had also been instituting forensic tests on gender-based offences. They refused to speak due to office protocols, but off the record, they also affirmed the increase in sexual penetration of minors in the district. Also in Kenema here, this young lady tells us her story, including the story of the same compatriot who has passed through the furnace of sexual harassment, but with little or no knowledge of knocking on the doors of the courts.
Most of my colleagues there, they go through that. Some they go through sexual harassment.
We, the young ladies here in Kenema, most often face sexual harassment at offices and various tertiary institutions here in the Eastern region. The sex for grade practice is a serious concern in this district. Some of my colleagues have been sharing their stories of how they have been seriously hit by sexual harassment from lecturers here in Kenema. We have a court in this district, but majority of my colleagues who have gone through sexual harassment do not knock on the doors of the court for justice because they believe judgment in court is very slow and justice is for the rich, not the poor. It is very difficult to institute legal action against most of these culprits of sexual harassment. They are very influential people.
The cracks of gender protection issues have opened the floodgate of how we really ensure that the court provides fairness in the litigation and judgment of most of gender-based violence cases. Barrister Bani Yela, barrister and solicitor of Sarah Legal Advocacy and Partners Chambers here in Kenema, asserts that he has always been knocking on the doors of the court on gender-based violence cases. Hence, he shared his perspective on whether or not there is fairness in court.
There have been a lot of advocacy on sexual and gender-based violence. It will always happen. Honestly, it will always happen. We are still having cases around sexual and gender-based violence matters in the court. But they are not as grave as they used to be. Over the last 10 years, when wives have been walking around those stuff, they are not as grave as it. There are still matters being charged. Even last week, we had matter on domestic violence. Of course, they are now all put under domestic violence, under the Domestic Violence Act, but there are still reports coming around those things. What has been very commonly reported in the court has been sexual penetration. That I must say that most people are reporting sexual penetration. I mean, the one that involves children. There are other sexual assault that might be happening, but the charges are not much coming before the court. But like in a month or two, we must have one or two cases of sexual penetration, either by the children themselves or by adults, as the case may be. So that is happening. Relatively, it's not on the high rate as it used to be, but we are still having cases. There are still cases being reported on sexual penetrations.
But like the rain exposing rock beneath polished floors, it seems a coalition of civil society has a different perspective. From lawyer Bani on issues relating to equity and dispensation of justice by the court here in Kenema, Augustine Sano is the CSO, lead Eastern Region. He said cases here are delayed and resources are sparingly available to pursue them.
For quite a while, it has been prevalent because we have colleagues who monitor the police, especially FSU. We also have colleagues who go to the courts, beginning from the magistrate court to the high courts. And I also attend security meetings at a district security level and also at regional security level called PROSEC. Every week we attend those meetings there are reports of gender-based violence reports as part of police reports in those meetings. And like I said, when my colleagues also go to monitor the police, especially FSU, go to the courts, there are always issues of that coming up, almost on a daily basis. The statistics is high for sexual penetration cases of minor. Statistics is high. Almost every month, at least once or twice or more than 3 times it's been reported. Matters are charged to court, and then eventually sentences are handed down. But like I say, it is also prevalent, where there are instances, a man of 40 years, or we go with somebody less than 10 years, that's prevalent. And sometimes it's hard training to know that as CSOs, we follow up the matter at some point in time, the whole thing just disappears between the police and the court, because the work ends in the court. Sometimes these people are arrested by the police, they are investigated and charged to court. By the time you know if they are out in the streets. So that one also could be one of the factors contributing to that, where the matter ends and how it is being treated at that level also undermines the whole situation.
Among the country's gender laws are the Gender Equity and Women's Empowerment Act, the Domestic Violence Act and the Sexual Offences Act, which are in need of urgent reforms. Barrister Bani again.
Because what I'm seeing in the GIWI, people are only focusing on the political perspective of it. How can we have female representation in political parties and all? But it is not limited to just that. So I think we need to do, the GIWI need to do, they need to do more around that to actually make it very prominent for employers to go by. Well, the Domestic Violence Act is been a good one, but I still believe that the prescribed punishment, I mean, it's not very clear. They need to really specify. I mean, they have categorized domestic violence, the relative violence that are in the act. But I want to see like they did with the Sexual Offences Act. They were able to clearly apportion heavy penalty for for penetration of a child and all. So I want to see also that where people will be really seen to be having heavy penalty on their actions of that. You mentioned a lot of that, but you did not mention the Child Right Act. It also need to be among those acts that you just mentioned. For me, I think the Child Right Act needs law reform. One of the acts that needs law reform. It needs to be reviewed and reformed accordingly. Away from that, the Domestic Violence Act as well. There are few things in the act that need to be reviewed.
What about the Sexual Offences Act?
The Sexual Offences Act, in my own personal opinion, as an activist, as a child rights activist, I think the issue of is this Section 4? Yeah, Section 4, which is dealing with sexual penetration. The issue of disregarding the Child Right Act, the Section 70 of the Child Right Act, is something that I think they need to look at. Because Section 70 of the Child Right Act is saying a person who is below the age of 14 is not criminally liable. But in the domestic, in the sexual offences, it has disregarded that. It said regardless to Section 70. That is to say, even if you are 2 years old, you are 1 year old, if you engage yourself in any form of sexual penetration, they can bring you to court. That is what is in the act. So for me, I think that is the only aspect that needs to be reviewed. Their children might be children, no matter what, but to say every child who commits sexual penetration must be brought to court. The other day I was in court and a child committed an offense, a 7-year-old child from Guajebu, and he was charged to court. Because that is what the act says. The act says that it is regarding. On normal circumstances, Section 70 of the Child Act is now saying that kind of person must not be brought to court because he's a minor. His mental capability is not properly made to answer questions on criminalities. So that's the only aspect I think they have to look at again. Maybe with time to see how we can use forensic tests, because there have been people who have been incarcerated for wrongly on sexual offenses. Somebody might just say, it's Nyake who penetrated me. But in reality, that person would have been penetrated also, but it might not be Nyake exactly. But once the hospital is able to prove that there's a rupture of the hymen, and you have been alleged in that matter, then you don't have to face the law. Sometimes they will convict you when you are not really the actual perpetrator of that offense. So I want to believe for us to actually do proper, legal processes. Let's also see how we can start doing proper forensic around, sexual offenses.
There is already a forensic lab for sexual offences. Augustine Sonor spills the beans on how trustworthy the forensic lab is for cases of sexual assault.
We have instances where between the police and the court, medical forms endorsed by Rimbo Center, either they are watered down or they disappear, which is a key element in prosecuting such matters. Because when a guy is being tampered with, the first and foremost, apart from reporting to the police, the next moment you take her to the Rimbo Center, where they do the examination, medication, and they do a report. And that report is key for the prosecution of the offender. But we also have instances where, like I said, between the police, that one is not for the community any longer. It is the police that will do all of that, attach it to the statement, and charge the matter to court. We have had instances where either the reports are tampered with along the way or they disappear. And that undermines the administration of justice. Yes, because like I said, we've had a lot of trainings in those communities, informing them about referral pathways, that when this happens, you don't go to chief, you go to the police. Or initially, you actually take it with the chief, but not for the chief to kind of sit on it. It's for the attention of the police in the communities where there are no presence of the Australian police. So because they know that, and when they get to town also, they go to police, they go to FSO, and there are times they come to our offices as well. But for us, the moment they come to our offices, we take them straight to the police, because that is where the investigation starts. Our own business is to follow up. Follow up at a Rimbo Center level, at the SLP level, and also at the court level. Even when the victims are eventually behind bars, but delays in the delivery of the issues also is a concern to us. Frequent and long adjournments is a concern to us. That undermines justice. And currently for the Kenema courts, I don't know, except for this morning, that I've not been to court. But there are two magistrate courts here, court 1, court 2. The lady who was at court 1, the magistrate is on maternity leave. She left since December, and up to this time, we only have one magistrate who now preside over several cases, and to the extent now that they will only go to court, and the clerks will only call and adjourn, and the people go back. They know as much as all of us know that there are delays in the courts. Currently, they know that one. I just cited the issue of instead of two magistrates, one is on maternity leave, and one sits on all of the matters. So you find out that a good number of the matters are just call and adjourn. We go to those courts anyway.
One thing that is very clear is that the Kenema dream is deferred because the laws exist, but do not bite as expected.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so very much indeed for watching that particular episode. It's just the third episode in a 5-part, series of Justice or Just Us, and that was the Kenema verdict. I'm sure, as you've heard or you've seen there, indeed we need to strengthen our sexual and gender-based laws. Up litigations and prosecutions for people who commit these atrocious act against women, and girls in Sierra Leone. Halima.
I know, Jones. It's worrying.
Indeed.
To see a 40-year-old going down to a girl less than 10 years old.
Indeed. Just imagine. What do these people think even?
Outrageous.
Totally outrageous. And I've just read I was reading parts of the, statistics the Sierra Leone police put out the other day. Their national crime statistics, it's worrying. Prosecutions for sexual and gender-based violence cases has actually spiraled, in the country.
And the problem with these cases are the fact that most times the family members do come back to the court and tell, no, we don't want this case anymore.
Exactly.
They just take some money at the back end. Yes, and it's really bad. So I think we should begin to put modalities and policies in place to ensure that these people who come back to tell the court, oh, this is a state crime. It's not just any civil matter that you can decide, okay, I want this case today and I don't want it tomorrow. So these people should also be brought to account for their actions.
Indeed.
Because most of the victims are underage kids.
Indeed.
So it's not like they have their own ways to do things. It is these adults that represent them in all they do.
Indeed.
So if the mom comes back and say, we don't want this case anymore, it's over, we've settled, the man is a family friend and the like, then there's a problem. That's a criminal act in itself, as far as I'm concerned. So these people should also be dealt with for such actions.
Indeed, and I just hope that we get, some clarity soon, because another challenge we've been facing is the implementation of the law. The laws are there, they're beautiful,
They're trying, though.
They are there, but from what we've observed from all of these, interviews, consultations across the countries, that some of these laws don't bite as much as people hope them to bite, the people who are committing these problems. So I think it's about implementation, upping the scale or the levels of, litigations and even prosecutions of people who, rape people in this country, who commit sexual.
Exactly. And another thing is, how do you define justice in these cases? How do you define justice in these cases? Is it just to ensure that the man stays behind bars? After that, what happens to the poor child?
To the victims, that's another concern.
You are the
legal people. You have to discuss that on some points.
I think we need to do a lot more.
Counseling and rehabilitation.
Exactly. I have to say, the First Lady has been trying. She's been up on her game when it comes to these things. And now, if you see when they move on with such trials, you see they do their best to protect the victims. In fact, they don't even want people to see
the identity,
them. Yes, because the trauma.
I think it was.
The trauma goes way beyond the time of all of this.
So what the court in McKinney had done was, because I think we were there, I even did a piece to camera in the courtroom. They had actually barricaded.
Yes, of course. Even in McKinney. You saw that in McKinney.
Yeah, exactly.
In the McKinney court,
there.
right?
That's magistrate court, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're in there. We're in there. I saw the cubicle they've built.
Yes,
so
just to protect the victims.
Keep the identities of those who testify. It's a good initiative,
We just hope to continue to improve on these laws and ensure that the implementation process goes as it should.
Indeed.
And it doesn't get interrupted by the very people who are supposed to be the one pushing for justice to be done. So, Jones, it has been a lovely day.
Quite a morning,
of course. So this is where we will end today's edition of Wake Up Leone. We say thanks to our sponsor, Commercial Bank, for their support of the program, and to all our audience, as we do appreciate your time. I am Alimata George.
My name is Victor Jones. Indeed, it's a beautiful, Friday. It's a religious time, and it's a time for Juma prayers. So Juma Mubarak to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters, and even the Christians. May the peace of Christ be with you. Be good to your fellow man. Be nice, be kind, be cheerful. Be sweet to your fellow compatriot, to your fellow citizen. And let's be nice to each other. It's a month of love. It's a month of charity. As the Muslim people would say, it's the month of zakat, right? It's one of the biggest pillars of Islam. And because of that, you do good to others who may not necessarily have much. And let's keep the peace and ensure that we continue to, elevate the standards of democracy and cohesion in Sierra Leone. Until we meet again on next week, Monday, for another edition of this very program, I say au revoir, tata.